Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and tonight I'm going to be talking about this very unusual case of Kay Wenal. Not a very well-known case. She doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, but I did find a couple shows on the case. No books written about it, so very limited information, but I thought it'd be a really great case to analyze, and that's why I've decided to do it. First, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat room and ask, can you hear me? Am I out of sync? Am I blurry? Sorry if you're watching this later on, folks, and you're not part of the chat room, which is a patrons only chat room. We had technical difficulties, so I had to redo the whole start of the show. Oh, much better. Okay, technical difficulties, and I haven't had this kind of a problem in a long time, but I didn't want to do a whole show where nobody could see or hear me properly. So everything's good. All right. Great. There's nothing more nerve-wracking than technical difficulties. So I'm not going to go through everybody's name in the chat room again because I just went through that. But thank you for being in the chat room. And also, Martin, you're here. And I know it's late for you. Now it's after midnight for you in the UK. But I'm glad. Oh, everybody says they can see and hear me fine. Fantastic. All right. Great. Okay. So in case you would like to be in the chat room, if you'd like to be in the chat room, everybody can see all of my shows. They're all available to everybody because they're educational shows, and I want everyone to have the opportunity to learn from them. And so it's free to everybody. I would never not have it free to everybody, especially detectives and criminal justice students. So, you can always just subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you get the new stuff coming in. And if you have a case you're very interested in, just go to the search engine on YouTube and put in Profiler Pat Brown and the case you're interested in. And that way you don't have to go through the entire playlist if you have something particular. But you can also just, message me and say, can you do this case? I'll put it in the comments below. If you'd like to be in the chat room, please do that. Join Patreon. And you can join all the live chats. There's 8 a month and also other stuff. And if you want to support the channel in some way or other, you can also buy one of my books or hit the little $ below and give a one-time support. And this is an educational channel, so I don't have millions of people here. It's not a gossip channel. So do need your support. Okay, let's get to this case. Now that everybody can actually see me. Okay, I'm getting hot. All right. Whew, I tell you. It's one of those days. It's near Halloween. I guess what is it, cabbage night the night before? Isn't that cabbage night when they throw everything and destroy everything? I think it's happening here. Okay, so this case. Now, as I said, there's not much on this case. And what's on it is pretty crappy. I mean, it just really is pretty crappy. So I'm going to tell you what crappy stuff I was able to access. Which was this. There's a 48-hour show. If you're here and you're not one of the patrons and you're just coming to this and you're like, oh, I want to know everything she's talking about, just stop this and go to the 48-hour show. There's a link below to the show. I have a link to it on Daily Motion. That's free. So that's the best place to get it. And then it's kind of annoying, and I'll explain why it's annoying in a minute. And then there's a second show done by Paul Holes, The DNA of Murder. I paid for it on Amazon Prime, and you can get it a number of places. I think you can go to YouTube and pay for it too. If you put in DNA of Murder, Paul Holes, and then the name Kay Wenal, you can come up with, I believe, and I'll try to find the link, put it below of that, and then you can pay for it and watch it. So if you haven't seen those things yet, and you want to before you see the show, just hit pause and come back later after you've seen that. Now, what's wrong with these two shows? Well, they leave so much information out, and you sit there and you watch and you go, well, I'd like to know this, and they don't say anything about that. So it makes things difficult to analyze because you don't know what is actually true, what's factual and what's not factual. And I will explain each one of these things as I hit them, as I go through what happened to this woman and why this case is so bizarre. This is an extremely bizarre case with no conclusion. Nobody's ever figured out who killed her, not the police department, not her husband, who hired some crack FBI agents and investigators. They didn't solve it. So it just remains unsolved. So let me explain who let me explain who these two people are, just to begin with, so you kind of know. His name is Hal Wenal. Now, there's very few information here, but I want to read this little bit about Hal Wenal. That's the husband. In his career, shopping magnate, Harold Hal Wenal scored real estate deals around the globe. He drove a Bentley and wore a fine Gucci watch. The value of his estate was estimated at more than $30 million. Despite his means, Hal died without the thing he wanted most, the name of his wife's killer. Okay. So he's a multimillionaire, builds shopping centers. But you're going to find out something a little bit squirrely about what he does. Now, his wife, Kay. He spoke of his wife, Kay, her real name is Eva, but Eva Kay Wenal, in glowing terms, saying they felt like love-struck teenagers together. Her death, caused by a brutal knife wound to her neck, haunted him. He found his wife's body in their home and was too distraught to even call down 911. I'll get to that in a minute. A few months later, he would offer $250,000 for the arrest and conviction of her killer. I think it's kind of cheap. $250,000 when you're a multimillionaire? Offer more. Okay. Anyway, that's not nice of me. Okay. Let me talk about. He was supposedly married twice and had a kid from the other marriage. One of the articles says she was married twice and had a kid somewhere out there that wasn't his. I can't find any information about that. That information was not in either of these videos that I watched. As a matter of fact, one of the videos said she'd been married 4 times. He was the 4th husband. As a matter of fact, she met the 4th husband while she was married to the 3rd husband. Okay. So anyway, he was a wealthy dude. He liked glitter. He liked the high life. He just enjoyed the money that he had. Let me show you a couple pictures. Okay. She was supposedly a model. And what did it say she modeled? Hold on a second. What did she model? I think she modeled for like casinos and supposedly, I'm not quite sure. She was a very attractive woman. There's not a question about that. Very beautiful woman. Look at her. She's lovely. Absolutely lovely. And she was also a Playboy bunny. and I just want to mention that because I almost was a Playboy bunny. No, and I kid you not. I want to just mention this world. Here she is. That's when she just is meeting her husband, and okay, she's in the world of Las Vegas. She's in the world of Playboy bunnies. She's in the world of supposedly modeling. And modeling is a weird thing in the world of Hollywood and the world of Las Vegas. Modeling can be small little opportunities that you had with local companies. It can be, a car dealership where you put your hand on the car and it's a local car dealership and you go, yeah. Modeling can be, because I did it. When I went to Hollywood, I worked as a model and not very successful one, mind you. But I remember being in some store dressed in, what was I dressed in? Was I a hot dog? Was I a dishwasher? I was in some kind of outfit, and it was some kind of weird outfit. The pretty face and the weird outfit. I was wandering around the store like this. I mean, I don't even remember it. I did a lot of extra work in Hollywood, and the modeling I did was minimal. So when somebody says they're a model, she was definitely beautiful enough to be could have been a successful model, the kind we think of in fashion magazines and all that. But that is not the world she was in. She was, and this is important just to understand personalities, to understand maybe what could have happened. So she's hanging in the Las Vegas world. Las Vegas world is fast. It's sexual. It's the money exchanges hands for lots of things. Prostitution is very popular. Models are sometimes prostitutes. Not saying she was ever a prostitute, but this is the kind of world you're in. Playboy bunnies. Now, Playboy bunnies is interesting. Okay, my little story about becoming a Playboy bunny. I think it was in St. Louis, Missouri. I think. So I applied to there was an ad in the paper for be a Playboy bunny at the Playboy Bunny Club. And so I went, and they put me in that outfit. See that outfit there? I was in that outfit. I got the layers, and they put your boobs like and then they draw your waist in like, I mean, it's like cardboard. It's so I have never looked that good. I look in the mirror, I'm like, woo, I'm like, hot. And I was accepted. I was going to be a Playboy bunny at the Playboy Bunny Club. Next day, the club closed down. I don't know if it was some squirrely stuff they were doing, but they got closed down or they closed down. So I never actually got to be a Playboy bunny. And I'm going to say probably it was a good thing. So it's interesting. There are girls who work as bottle girls in clubs, and bottle girls in clubs are more like prostitutes. And Playboy bunnies, there's very strict rules on Playboy bunnies. You are not to become a prostitute in the club, because that is a no-no. Men are supposed to be able to come there, and it's supposed to be clean and above board. Until you're up to this level, if you're a preferred Playboy bunny and there's preferred men at the top, somehow that slides away, and you can maybe become almost like a geisha girl. You could be with somebody because of their high level, and you're with them. It's okay as a girlfriend or a mistress or whatever. Not saying she did any of these things, but this is the world in which she was in. She had been with 3 men, 3 husbands. I don't know who they were. The last one was a suspect for a very short period of time, but they proved he was nowhere around. But this was a 4th husband who she hooked up with. He saw her, and they supposedly instantly fell in love, but she was already married. But anyway, she got unmarried to that guy and married him. All right. Then they were married for 20 years. Okay. So it just could be that they finally found the right person, bully for them if they did that, when you're young, sometimes you don't find the right person. You live in a kind of a world where you just kind of bounce around like a pinball, and then you marry somebody and that didn't work out. The question would be, did she marry up? And I don't know, because we only hear from her sister during these shows, and pretty much no one else. Not her child, not other people. It's like everybody says she's bubbly, wonderful. Everybody falls in love with her immediately. She's the greatest person in the world. But we don't actually hear about her life. And so it's hard to know whether people misinterpreting. Is she that wonderful person, or is she a person who likes to marry men with money, and then when she finds a man with more money, she moves up? I don't know. But this is important because later on in the investigation, this becomes an issue. And so that's why I'm bringing it up. I don't know. She could be the loveliest human being to walk the face of the earth, sweet as all get out. And in spite of all the money she has, she's just the nicest person ever. Because, just because you have money, and just because you've worked in businesses that have a lot of, tawdry stuff, doesn't mean you're that kind of person. You can coast out of that and be very happy person, and be a wonderful person. And Hal could have gotten lucky to meet this girl who just finally said, I love the living hell out of you. Here they are 20 years later. They're still looking like lovebirds. Okay. And I'm just going to say this about what people say. They're still like madly in love 20 years later. She says nice things about him. He says nice things about her. Again, we don't know. We're outside. I know that many people, including myself, when I got divorced, nobody had a clue. I mean, they liked my husband. They liked me. They were shocked. I'm not going to get into what went wrong. But clearly, if we got divorced after 25 years, we weren't the perfect lovebirds. You know what I mean? Something was not right behind the scenes. And we've gone on with our lives and both been happy and successful. And we can talk to each other, when we get together with the family. All good. But nobody had a clue that a divorce was coming. Shocked. Everybody was shocked. Not them. So what goes on behind the scenes is not necessarily what anybody else sees. And just because he says nice things and she says nice things doesn't mean it's so. Because a lot of times, even if they're close, sometimes people don't want to let that out. So they'll just say, oh, he's wonderful. Again, I don't know. These two could have been happy lovebirds to the day poor Kay was murdered, or there could have been something going on behind the scenes. And I just want to point that out, because if you're going to analyze a case, if you're going to be an investigator, you can't just buy one story. You got to say maybe, and then you got to keep looking, because maybe is maybe not. And so you have to be open and willing to not just accept everything. Just don't accept everything at face value, because that's what the public does. But if you're working on a case, you're not the public. You're supposed to be analyzing evidence. So I wanted to point that out about these two, because we don't know. We don't really know their relationship. And therefore, now, by the way, there is word, supposedly, that she did have affairs during her marriages. And clearly she had an affair during her third marriage, because she had an affair with him and married him. There's talk that she had an affair during the marriage with him. So there you go. Maybe things aren't perfect, and we just have to recognize that. Before we get into the exact what happened, I'm going to just check back with your comments here a second. So some funny things. Some funny things I'm not going to. Some funny things stay in the chat room. I'm going to leave them in the chat room. And I'll leave them there. And after 4 husbands, maybe she killed herself. And she was done with husbands. She was like, I can't do this anymore. You never know. So you got to keep in mind, I personally don't think the particular way this crime went down meant she could have done it to herself. But hey, you see, you got to keep the options open. Oh my goodness. This show, some people say, we're talking about very serious subjects, and this subject is serious, but we do sometimes have an amusing time here, just because that's the way it is. And I have to have fun sometimes here. Okay, let me go into the actual crime. All right, so it was on May 1st, 2008. Okay, 2008. And this, again, this information is really, really questionable. All right. So let me show you their house. Okay. Okay. Hold on a second. It's been a crazy day, and I barely got this stuff all together before I did the show. So, okay, this is the house. This is a crime. This is right after the crime scene. They lived in a lovely home. And by the way, they lived in quite a few places. And this place was in Georgia, and Lawrenceville, Georgia, and they were renting this house, and were on their way to getting something more permanent. I don't know why they had to rent. Maybe they were in transition, but they lived in quite a few places. One of the places they lived in was supposedly Fort Lauderdale, Florida, which is where one of supposed affairs Kay had was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Anyway, so here we are. So now we're at the house. All right, so this is the house. Now, let me try to walk you through the basics of the crime scene. They didn't do a very good job in the 48 hours, but Paul Holes did do a pretty good job on that, about basically what happened to her. And then things get strange. All right. So here's the basic of their house. Okay. So supposedly, somewhere in the mid-afternoon, why was Kay home alone? Okay. So the story here goes like this, that on that particular day, let me get the proper information on that, which is actually garbage. So it's quite hard to understand, because the information is crap. So anyway, okay, this was the Sugar Lake Cart home. This is this one. Where Kay was killed was to be a temporary rental en route to their dream abode. Now, they've been married 20 years, so I'm sure they had a lot of dream abodes when the guy's got $30 million. But anyway, the sister recalls touring a downtown Atlanta penthouse with Kay after her 60th birthday. Oh, by the way, she's 60. So, and that's important. This was not a sexual homicide of any sort. She was murdered because somebody wanted to murder Kay, not because At least that's, or because it was a robbery gone wrong, but it wasn't a sexual assault. Not that 6-year-olds aren't hot enough, especially her, to be sexually assaulted. Just saying. All right. She looks better than me. Anyway, okay. Anyway, they toured a downtown Atlanta penthouse with Kay after her 60th birthday that April, a place with its own elevator. Well, he has money, but at least but his money is getting a little rough, so that's an issue. Anyway, in Buckhead, the Wenals fancied a $3.5 million antebellum mansion girded by towering white columns. So I guess a penthouse, colonial. I don't know. Kay was trying to get Hal to retire because he worked so much, 12 to 14-hour days, said her sister. He was a go-getter. All right. This is a statement from here. There's a statement that Kay stayed home that day because she wasn't feeling well. Okay, now I want to point out, one of the problems you have with analyzing everything is, where does your information come from? This is important because a lot of times people accept information and don't think of the source of the information. Where is it from? Now, supposedly, Kay stayed home that day because she didn't feel well. Who told the people? Who said that? Hal said that. Her husband said she stayed that day home because she didn't feel well. How do we know that Hal didn't say, honey, I don't need you for work today, because she worked with him. Just stay home today. I want you at home. I got some business calls coming in or whatever. I need you at home. How do we know he didn't say that? We don't. I'm not saying he did, but we don't know. When he says that she said she wasn't feeling well, we don't know that that's true. Unless she called 10 friends and said, I'm not feeling well, we don't know. And these pretty crappy, in my opinion, videos, these shows did not clearly explain these things. And it drives me nuts when they do that, because if you're going to do a show and you're a television show, you should get some information that you can then validate. But I didn't get it there. And interesting, both of these shows, the first show, 48 hours, and both of the shows had the police in the room. They were talking with the police, and the police were so vague, it was unbelievable. And we're talking about a case that's, 2008? So these shows were done like over a decade later. So they're being just like, don't want to give up information, or just they don't have any worthwhile information to give up, or as a television show, do they just suck? Which I'm going to go with that. Anyway, so one story is that she wasn't feeling well, so she stayed home. But then I read this in the Gwinnett Daily Post, that's out of Georgia. Hal last saw his wife alive around lunchtime on May 1st, 2008, when she stopped by his office. If she's feeling sick, why is she going out of the house to his office? Okay. To say hello. Now, I don't know how far it is from the house to the office. That's another piece of information we do not have. Okay. Hold on a second. My computer decided to reload. Why does it have to do that in the middle of a show? Oh, come on. Hold on a second. All right, here we go. It's a live show. You see what happens? All right. Fanatical about exercise, she wore a sweatsuit. Sweatsuit. Wait a minute. I thought she was sick. What? If you're sick, are you really going to go jogging? What? I mean, this is crazy. Okay, fanatical about exercise, she wore a sweatsuit. He told her not to worry about cooking dinner. Well, she's supposed to be sick. Why wouldn't he make her cook dinner? Okay. See how crazy this gets. As they could run out and grab something. No, she's sick. He said she was sick. Why should you go out to get anything? Why wouldn't you bring your wife something home? She kissed him and walked out. I always love the kisses. I'm always amazed how many times there's always this lovey-dovey thing. It's like, but last time I saw him, I said, I love you. I must not be a very nice person. I'm like, last time I saw him, I'm like, bye. See ya. Love you. I'm a terrible person. Okay. So then it's okay. So now she leaves. Supposedly this is at noon. He sees her. Okay. He leaves work at 6 p.m. That is also questionable because some of the shows say 6:37. Okay. Make up your mind. One of the shows said that when one of the reasons they know he wasn't involved in the crime was because I had video of him leaving work and video of him stopping at a Taco Bell. Is that what he was bringing honey home? I mean, that was dinner that he was bringing her. I don't know. When I'm nauseous, Taco Bell burritos work, but I don't. But here again, when did he leave work? What does the video show? When did he hit Taco Bell? What does that video show? Is there other proof of anything during the day, from the supposed she saw her at noon to the time he walked into his house and found her dead? Could he have left work in between and come back to work? Could he have gone home and killed her and come back? Or was he covered for the whole day? Please say he physically couldn't have done it. But then I don't get any good information. And the claim is that according to the time of death, he was seen going out of work and going to Taco Bell. But her time of death, here's a whole nother thing. Time of death is supposedly around, they claim 3 p.m. Well, if he was buying Taco Bell at 3 p.m, it was either a late lunch or he was going to bring her cold food for dinner. Dude, bring her something better. You're a multimillionaire. Sushi. But okay, so I just want to stop here and talk about time of death. So they claim that he couldn't have been involved because of the time. He was busy at the time, and I don't have any proof of that he was busy doing anything. But here we'll take a forensic pathology book here. This is a chapter on time of death. And this is important when we go further into who could have done this. All right. Determination of the time of death is important in both criminal and civil cases. In criminal cases, it can set the time of the murder, eliminate or suggest suspects, confirm or disprove an alibi. Okay, that's very important. Unfortunately, all methods now in use to determine the time of death are to a degree unreliable and inaccurate. They usually give vague or dubious answers. This is from Vincent DeMaio, who you definitely see Vincent DeMaio all over, in the court system. There's a lot of things that determine time of death. Livor mortis, that's when the blood settles. Or rigor mortis, that's when you go. Okay, body temperature, degree of decomposition, chemical changes, stomach contents, insect activity, scene markers are important. Papers, letters, clothing, television, TV schedules. So in other words, there are things that prove that you were alive at a certain point. Like if you made a phone call at 2:30 in the afternoon, you were alive at 2:30 in the afternoon. If you're supposed to meet somebody at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for lunch and didn't show up, maybe you die between 2:30 and 4. And then you have to look at all these other things. But it's not very perfect. And I don't know who they got down there to figure out time of death. So I don't know if they're like 3 hours off. And I want to point this out because I don't know that Hal, the husband, has a proper alibi. Not saying it has anything to do with this, but it bugs me because they start out the show by saying, oh, he couldn't have done it physically. I'm like, but I don't understand the time of death. And I don't understand what his alibi is outside of supposedly he was seen at a Taco Bell. I mean, really? So anyway, what happens now? So Hal, supposedly, because this is I don't even know where the proof lies here. Hal left work at around 6 p.m. and went straight to their home in a Tony subdivision separated from Discover Mills Mall by Sugarloaf Parkway. He opened the garage door, then entered through the kitchen. Interesting. On the counter was a box of old takeout. What? Okay, I'm not going to go there. Was that the Taco Bell? I don't know. His wife lay face down on the hardwood kitchen floor amid a pool of blood, being described as the size of a compact car. So she was lying face down and a lot of blood. Okay. He noticed that Kay's face was swollen. Wait. Okay. Wait. Okay. I'm going to stop here. She's face down in a pool of blood. How do you know her face is swollen? What? How do you know her face is swollen? Her face is flat on the floor. Let me show you a picture. Okay, this is not a creepy crime scene picture. It's a blurred out picture, but it gives you the idea. Okay, where is it? Hold on. Oh, where'd it go? Hold on a second. I got a lot of maybe this will do. Yeah, there she is. Okay. This is a crime scene photo. She's lying there, face down. How do you know her face is swollen if she's face down? Again, I don't get it. Did he not really mean, was it really not face down? Was it, this is not face down. Then you see swollen face. This is not face down. This is face down. You don't see swollen face. I don't know how you'd see that. You could see blood underneath the person, but you couldn't see anything about their face. What? That doesn't make sense. So Hal noticed that Kay's face was swollen, a sign that she'd been punched in the face. Well, then she would have to be lying on her back so you could see her whole face. Probably in the foyer where blood spatter was found. He could see her throat was badly slit. Maybe. The position of her body to him looked as though she had been trying to run but was caught. Okay, let's stop there. All right. I'm going to show you the basic crime scene stuff now. All right, so when you come in this house here, okay, the theory, generally speaking, and I'm going to get to whether I think it's any good or not. The theory is somebody came, knocked on the front door, accessed the front door, and she opened it. Wait a minute, what? Sorry, that's it. Oh, I want to show this. This actually is a crime scene photo of, she was supposedly sitting on that couch, comfy, and looking at a book. Now, that's not absolutely true. That it just means sometime at some point she might have been doing that, but it doesn't mean she actually was doing that then. But anyway, so all right, so she's sitting there, knock at the door, somebody comes in, whatever. She supposedly goes to the front door. All right, here's the front door. Now, this pole hose does this little scenario here. So now here's Mr. Killer coming in the front door, either knocking and being some guy she doesn't know, or knocking and some guy she does know, or some guy just opening the door. All right. Now, the theory is that when he came to that door, he punched her in the face. All right. And there's evidence that he did punch her in the face because there's blood. You see the blood drops directly down, straight down, which means basically after he punched her in the face, she's kind of leaning forward. So the blood is just going straight down and blip, blip, blip on the floor. You can see it here, pretty much most of it straight down. You see some little tails, which means that would be movement. There's also some blood on the side of the banister. So if you look at this, so apparently she got hit. And then what they tried to say was that after she got hit, she got hit and then her glasses fell off. And then she tried to run away from the guy. All right. She fell to the floor, but then she got up and the guy chased her. He chased her into so here's another view. So this is the front of the house. He hits her and then she tries to get around there and go toward the kitchen and then maybe out the back door. Now, this is a picture of where she supposedly got hit. I'm sorry, I forgot that one. All right. So now this is as far as she got in the kitchen. She didn't get to the garage door. Here she is again. What's interesting to note here is that above her, right above her head, is this thing, which is there's another picture of it here, which is apparently an alarm system. And the concept is that she might have been reaching for that, trying to hit the alarm that says help, help, like push that button there, but she never got there because the guy slit her throat at that point. So essentially, she opens the door somewhere in the foyer. The guy goes like, bam. Okay. And then she gets knocked up and then she runs and gets around the corner. He chases her. Maybe she is trying to get out of the house or hit that button. We don't know. And he catches her and he cuts her throat. Two possibilities at that point. He cuts her throat once. He cuts her throat twice to make sure she's dead. And the second part, and he brings her to the ground. So there's not a lot of blood all over the place. So otherwise you have blood. Yeah. But if you bring her to the ground and then you cut her throat, the blood will go out this way and not get on the offender who's standing behind her. He could have done it twice, or he could have cut her throat once and then gone and done something and come back later and said, oh, let me just make sure she's dead. That's possible too. Now, that's the basics of the crime scene. So hold on, let me see what this is. Oh yeah, here. Oh, we'll get into the second part here. So anyway, this is where, okay, so husband comes home And when he sees her body on the floor, he places his briefcase onto the island. Now Paul Holes, I mean, I thought it was kind of funny because he kind of went when that came up, because you would think you'd walk into the kitchen and see your wife on the floor with blood underneath her, and you would freak and just drop your briefcase. But he managed to put it nicely on the island. Just something interesting. And then suppose he was so freaked out that he didn't call 911 from there. He ran to a neighbor house and had the neighbor call 911. There's a conflicting information on that, but that's supposedly what happened. Now, he could have been completely freaked out and couldn't figure, just so taken, he couldn't dial the phone and just ran to the neighbor and beat on the door and said, call 911, call 911. My wife is on the floor. Help, help. That's possible. It's also possible he didn't want to call 911 himself and have to go through the help. My wife is on the floor dead, and have somebody analyze his voice. Possible. I still don't understand how he saw she had a swollen face if her face was face down. That bugs the heck out of me. And the briefcase on there bugs me. However, the police say he could not have done this himself because his time is accounted for at the time of death. But again, as I point out, the time of death is questionable, and I don't have his time accounted for, in my opinion, by anybody. Now, maybe it is, but I don't have it, and that bugs me. So the police said he became a suspect right up front because he is her husband, and that's usually who does a woman in, right? So they had him in for questioning, and they stated that they felt his demeanor, his emotions were of a man who was just broken, a man who had lost his wife and who was just tortured by it, who was saddened by it. It was like the worst thing that ever happened to him, ruined his life, and he just wanted to know who killed her. And they believed he was telling the truth. Was he telling the truth? I listened to him, and I see sort of what they're saying. These are some photos from when he arrives. This is 3 months later. He comes without an attorney. I don't know when they talked to him prior to that, but this is from 3 months later. He comes in, he kind of, hey, doing it, which I found kind of very, very relaxed. And then once he got settled, and he went, oh, this is a terrible thing that happened to me. So I don't have a way at this point, looking at things, to eliminate him, because husband, when you have somebody whose wife ends up dead for no reason, usually the husband is involved or the significant other is involved. So I have a hard time eliminating him. I don't care if people tell me they're little lovebirds after 20 years. Were they? Or did something else go wrong? Usually women are in the most dangerous time when they say, I'm going to leave you. Was she leaving? I don't know. Did he find out about an affair? I don't know. Were they lovebirds? I don't know. I wish I was there to actually investigate this so I would know these things. But there's no question that somebody entered the house, whether it be him or somebody else, punched her, chased her around the thing, cut her throat. Now, also, mind you, we don't know whether the throat cutting happened right away or whether the person punched her again and she passed out on the floor. And then after that, they cut her throat or went and did something, came back and cut her throat. We don't know the exact order of these things. We just know that she got punched. I don't know how badly. No autopsy report. Don't have any access to that. They didn't put it on the internet. Don't have the autopsy report. Don't know how many times she was punched. Don't know anything. Don't know if her nose is broken. Don't know. And that bugs me because it's hard to analyze when you don't actually know how it worked. What we do know is a knife was used to cut a very, very, wasn't a jagged knife. It was like, a very sharp knife. And she was punched in the nose and she was killed very quickly. No defense wounds. But, defense wounds, some people say, well, there weren't defense wounds because it was Hal. But no, it may just be that she didn't see it coming, because if a guy walks in and goes punch right away, you're already dazed and you're trying to run. You're not going to have defense wounds. And if he grabs her from behind and cuts her throat and knocks her to the ground and cuts her throat, again, may have no defense wounds. So that's important to know. So now I'm going to go to the second part of the crime scene, which I think is really interesting and makes me wonder. Okay, before I go there, I'm going to just check on your comments so I don't leave you out there. Yes. Was there any forced entry? No, no forced entry. Christina's watched this. No, there was no forced entry. What does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things. Somebody knocked on the door and she opened it. Second part is her husband opened the door with the key and walked in. She said, "Hi, honey, what's up?" And he went, "Bam." That's what's up. Or somebody else. Oh, oh, hi, what are you doing here? Boom, or package for you. Oh, really? Boom, Forced entry is especially in the middle of the day is not necessarily needed because people aren't that scared of opening doors in the middle of the day. And if somebody has a key, of course, they can access it. So don't know who it was, but no forced entry. But it doesn't tell us exactly who it is. All right, so Michaela, maybe he was upset she didn't cook dinner. I think I could afford somebody to cook them lots of dinner, and they had so much money you could buy like any amount of food in the world. I'm not persuaded by his flimsy Taco Bell alibi. Yeah, Martin, I don't understand that. If it was proven she was killed at that time and he was in Taco Bell at that time, he couldn't have done it. But I can't get from these shows, which annoys me, because if you're going to do a 48-hour show and you're doing an Oxygen Channel show, for God's sakes, tell us how the hell you came up with a Taco Bell alibi. Don't just tell us there is one that matches her supposed time of death, which I have no clue whether they got the time of death even close. I don't know. I know if she actually went to his office at noon, she was alive at noon and she was dead by 6, but I don't know anything more than that. Yeah, I just don't. It just annoys the hell out of me. Did the husband have a hand injury from throwing a punch? I believe he did not. The door was open to let someone in. Briefcase, neighbor calling 911, behavior 3 months later, red flags. I don't know that he had a hand injury, not that I know of. But, I don't know what he was wearing. You could have a glove on your hand. You could, I don't know. And I don't know, when they say they punched her in the face, did they punch her in the face with a fist? Did they punch her in the face with something else? So this, again, I don't understand where the lack of information is. It drives me nuts. When you're going to do a show, I'm not this kind of show. This kind of show is to help educate. Those kind of shows are to say, oh, let's look at this murder, but let's not give you any info. So annoying. I think I may have said face down as well, as opposed to face up. In other words, she was on her tummy as opposed to being on her back. Okay, Lila, I like that. Lila, that's not bad. All right, I'm going to go with that. I think you might be okay with that. That might be a very good point that I missed. Sometimes when I read media stuff, I don't trust them because I'm a literal person. I'm the Alice in Wonderland girl who says, say what you mean and we mean what you say. To me, face down means your face is freaking down. To me, okay, let me get it right. Supine and I should know this stuff. On your back is, somebody give this to me. I have to look this crap up. I'm licking my iPad pages. Supine and crap. I forget all these technical words. I'm not really good with that. Supine is what way? Supine is lying face upward. Okay, what's the other one? Opposite of supine. Give me the opposite of supine. Opposite. All right, hold on a second. I gotta get the opposite of supine. Opposite of supine is prone. Oh, prone? Really? Is that what it is? A person lying prone is facing downward, while a person lying supine is face up. Okay, so prone, supine. That to me tells you what their body position was in. Face down means your face is down. But I will admit, Lila, because again of poor writing methodologies, and nobody asking the proper questions, I don't actually know what the truth is. But that's a very good point you made, and I'm glad you did. Yes, he had one kid, she had one kid, but not together. And if he is quite logical, Lila says, he may not have wanted to not disturb the crime scene, fingerprints on devices like the phone, etc., and therefore went to the neighbors. Lila, if he were still alive, that man wants you for his attorney. This is true. This is true. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, these are the problem with a lot of these scenes is you have to know, first of all, what kind of person you're dealing with. Whether he is a very calm person, whether he is a very methodical person, whether he would think these things through, or whether he would freak out and do other things. Yes, he may not have wanted to touch anything. Maybe that was a thought in his head, or it wasn't. But see, that's what's so tricky about all of this. And when you watch these shows, they're highly edited, so you never know what you need to know, and you want to say, hey, tell me this. I'm mostly disturbed by the fact we don't have information on his actual whereabouts and an alibi and the information on the time of death. That to me is too vague to take him out of the picture. And just because one police officer thinks he seemed genuine, it's not enough for me. You know why? Because the dude's a crook. Didn't see that coming? Dude is a crook. Okay. And then we'll get to that. And so that's another problem. However, that doesn't mean crooked people don't have other, and there can be more than one suspect because of situations. So now, he might think the killer is still in the house. And that's a good thought as well. Yeah, he could think that and want to get the hell out of there because he's afraid that the guy's going to come after him. That is true. This is where the interview with the police comes in, because if I were the police detective, I'd be asking specific questions about what his thinking was when he arrived, so that I would know whether his thinking matched what he did or whether he seemed like he was making up crap. That would be he could have just said, I got to get out of here. And the question is, did he absolutely know his wife was 100% dead when he saw her? Or did he think she had a chance to be alive? That's another issue as well. But with a pile of blood around her, probably didn't think she was alive, I'm going to say. Okay, what's the motive, Michaela asks. All right, let's go to the next part of the thing. So in the show that Paul Holst does, he starts having some theories about motive. Okay, now let's see what that motive is. Okay, and I don't know. Paul came up with 3 different motives as things went on during the show. And I can't tell whether he really believed in any of those motives or whether he was told by Oxygen he needed to have 3 parts of the show to make it interesting. So he had to pretend he was coming up with this idea and then, oh no, that's knocked down. Okay, I'm going to come up with this idea and it's knocked down. So I don't know if this is television crap or Paul just doesn't think in a way that I agree with. I don't know. Can't tell because I've done television and sometimes it sucks the way they do things. All right. So remember where, okay. Remember, I'm trying to find that picture that's really good for this. All right. So now she's dead on the floor or going to be dead. So anyway, all right, this picture. After he does all of this stuff, you see up there on the second floor is a highlighted area. That is a file cabinet. What happens is this. After the guy either punches her out and she's unconscious, or he kills her, or he does at least one cut of the throat, this guy goes upstairs. All right. Now, let me show you where he goes upstairs. Hold on a second. Is this it? Oh, yeah. No, that's not it. Hold on a second. Where'd my picture go? Am I having a missing picture problem again? Oh, no, here it is. All right. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. So this is the route to the house. Paul says in this video that the guy goes up these stairs, which he does, and then he gets on the second floor, and this is the master bedroom. He goes into the master bedroom, then he goes through the ensuite bathroom. He goes through the ensuite bathroom to this closet in the back, and you see that closet in the back full of her clothes and stuff like that. Now you have to ask yourself, why the hell is he up there? What is he doing up there? So some people think that, let's say he was a stalker. He does this to her and then he goes up to the bedroom up there. What is he doing up there? Because there's no evidence that he ever touched any of her clothes, did anything with her closet over here. But, you know, the fact that you go all the way through the house to there makes you wonder. Well, but guess what? Okay, it gets more interesting. So now, in that closet, which is like a huge walk-in closet. All right. The huge walk-in closet. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. In the closet, Right? You can see she's got, this is her shoes, I guess. This is it's a file cabinet with locks on it, key locks. I looked this up because it's not quite what I would think of as a safe, but it has locks so you can lock drawers. But I don't know if that's bolted to the floor or not, but it doesn't look like a really good safe to me. And this is what is so weird. See that jewelry? Now her sister comes on. Let me show you sis. This is her sister. She comes in both shows. And I don't think she knows what the hell she's talking about. That's my opinion. Her name is Pam Sleeper. Anyway, she says she kept $1 million worth of jewelry here. I'm looking at this going, doesn't look like $1 million worth of jewelry to me. And I'm going to say, I don't care how rich you are, $1 million worth of jewelry doesn't belong in the drawer of a file cabinet. It belongs in a safe. Now, what does end up in a file cabinet in your big, huge closet that you're getting your dressed in is what I would call daily jewelry. In other words, things you don't really want to bother to put away in the safe or in a safety deposit box. Things that, when you have big jewelry, like you have a big diamond necklace worth $500,000, you're not going to wear that on a daily basis. So what you do is you put that in a safety deposit box or in a safe in your house, a real safe. And then in this jewelry box, you might have something worth $1,000 or $2,000, other stuff that's pretty and not cheap, but not $1 million worth. This is daily jewelry that you're just going to run around town in, or, maybe a couple of earrings to go out to dinner with, and a nice necklace and a couple, bracelets, but not $1 million worth of jewelry. So I don't know what the hell the sister's talking about. But I just don't think she knows a whole lot about, in spite of the fact that she's best friends with a sister, she seems to not know things. So anyway, this is in the top drawer. Now, in the bottom drawer, you'll notice some paper, like an envelope and stuff. And then in the back of this drawer is, I'll get to that in a minute. You see this over here? This is a towel. This gets really interesting. So I'm going to look forward to your profiling of this because you're doing really good so far. All right. On the top of this thing in the closet is this towel. On the towel that's Kay's blood. It doesn't show a knife being wiped off. The theory is somebody wiped their hands on there, maybe. That towel comes from a downstairs bathroom. So somebody either punched Kay and then got this towel to wipe their hands and went up, brought the towel upstairs and leaves it on this cabinet, on this file cabinet. There's no other DNA in this house. There's no other hair. There's no fibers. There's no nothing. There is some male, quote, male DNA, which could be just her husband's innocently because he's a guy and he lives there, right? But this thing, why did this guy go upstairs? So the first theory Paul Hulse comes up with is the guy was after her jewelry. This was a crime gone bad. This was a robbery gone bad. Came in the middle of the day. She opened the door. He punched her, and then if you couldn't control her, and he ended up killing her. And he went up there to get her jewelry, and then didn't get it. Okay, I think that doesn't make a damn bit of sense. Why is that? All right, let's go back to where the supposedly she got punched out. All right, so she's at the hallway here, right? Here comes the guy who wants her to take him to the jewelry. You don't knock out the person you want to take you to the jewelry and open the damn safe. You want the person functionable so that they can use their key or put the code in or whatever and hand you all the damn jewelry. That's what you want them to do. Also, wouldn't hurt to have a mask on your face. Even if you didn't wear a mask up to the door, I would put that sucker on just as she was opening it so she wouldn't see who I am. And then I put a gun in her face and I tell her, take me to your jewelry. And she'd take me there. And then I would knock her out and take the damn jewelry. And then I'd leave. So I'm like, why would you punch her coming in the door if you were looking for the jewelry? Because, you can't get into it without her help. You don't know where the key is. You don't know what the code is. What the heck? Why would you kill her and then try to get the jewelry? I'm sorry. That makes zero sense to me. So then the question, I don't think this is a robbery gone bad. I see no evidence of this whatsoever. This is robbery gone bad. So why is this guy up in there? why is he up in that? Why would he go through the bedroom into her closet to this file cabinet? Why? Who would do that? What's the point? Especially when you just killed somebody, or you're going to. You're going to be in that house extra time. Now, mind you, Hal, it's his own business. Nobody comes to her. If they did any watching of that house, she comes and goes. I'm sure Hal, running his own business, come home whenever he damn well pleases. Does she never have friends come over? So you're coming in here, and this woman's on the floor of the kitchen, either bleeding out or whatever, and you're going to go upstairs for what reason? Why? If you think somebody could be showing up any minute, you just get the hell out of Dodge. If this is not a robbery, you've got no reason to be upstairs. So why is that person in the closet at this file cabinet? Why? Okay, that's an interesting question. I'm going to show you one thing that's in the file cabinet, which is the second theory in this case. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Christine says $1 million in cubic zirconia. Maybe, and it's not unusual. People will have cubic zirconia in their homes and have the real stuff in the safe. They do that kind of thing too. Oh my goodness. Michaela says, killer would have to know the layout of the house and where the cabinet was. The locks on those cabinets are flimsy and can be opened easily. Thank you, Michaela. Somebody had to know the layout of that house. It seems a little odd to me because there's a lot of places you could trot around to look for stuff. Nobody opened up any drawers in the master bedroom. Nobody, that's a crappy file cabinet. Personally, I wouldn't think that's where the jewelry is kept. I'd be looking for the safe. And have some tools with me. What? Yeah, you're right. This looks flimsy as shit. I think I will knock that thing open with something else besides needing the keys on that. I know safes. I have a safe. It's bolted to the floor. And then my other stuff is in the safe deposit box because I'm not stupid. I don't keep $1 million worth of jewelry at home. I don't have $1 million worth of jewelry either. Okay. But, if you're going to keep anything of worth at home, you're going to put it in a safe. Not that. Except for, again, just easy stuff. Maybe the reason you might put some of your jewelry in here, the lesser stuff, is if you have maids coming into the house. You want something easily accessible for you. I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to put some earrings on. So I'm going to open up that drawer and just, open it up, get my earrings, put a little thing on, but I don't want the maid to be able to access it because, things disappear. So you lock it up. So the cleaning ladies come in and you don't have to blame the cleaning ladies for stealing your stuff if something goes missing, because that's, you don't want to blame people for things. And, maybe you lost it and then you blame the cleaning lady. So you're happier knowing that your jewelry is locked up enough that people who aren't real robbers, real burglars, they're not going to get into that, but it keeps things safe. You can put a little extra cash in there, whatever. And when place is cleaned, your stuff is safe. I think that's the reason you have one of these kind of things, not to put in real expensive stuff. So yeah, why would the guy know the layout of the house? Why does he even go to this location? Yes, I think he has to know this. It has to be a reason he's going there. All right, let's see what else you have to say. Molly says, the person who put the towel there was found should have left DNA on the towel. They did not. Only thing they have in this house or on her or on the towel, very vaguely, is male DNA. Just, I guess it's touch DNA. It's just male. There's no saliva. There's no semen. There's no blood DNA from anybody. Just her DNA. Is he planting something there? Well, that's interesting, Lisa. Well, that's a very good thought. Could he be planting something there? Did he want people to think somebody was trying to steal her stuff? Did somebody want it to look like a robbery? And I would think this is possible, but it still doesn't look very robbery-like. A burglary-like, because usually people pull out drawers and make it look like the place has been tossed, so that it looks like somebody's looking for something, and nothing is touched. Nothing is touched in this entire house. This towel thing is just dropped there. Nothing is touched anywhere. It's freaky. All right, if it's a robbery gone wrong, they would usually ransack. Yeah, they'd usually ransack, but that's not what we're seeing. So why is this towel up there on top of this? Why? What's it doing there? Why is the person in that closet? That's the question. Okay, now let's go to this next thing that's in the bottom drawer of this file cabinet, in the bottom drawer. This becomes a real big issue in this case. In the bottom drawer is lingerie. Lingerie in the bottom drawer. Okay, the lingerie is, let me see if I can get a copy of, hold on a second. Is this it? Not it. Hold on a second. I got to find it. Where'd it go? No, don't do this to me. Sorry. Okay, hold on. I got to go scurry around. Oh, shoot. Hold on. I got to go find out what I did with this one thing, which I want to read from, which I forgot to put up here, obviously. Hold on. Okay, but what in the world? What in the world is this? Well, how interesting is that? What in the... Oh, hold on a second. I'm clicking on the wrong things. Okay, here we go. Coming up soon. All right. Okay, where is it? Where's the stupid thing? Oh, no, don't tell me I didn't put it up here. Oh, that's where it is. Sorry. There's a lot of places you can put things. I have this on my green screen, and I forgot to put it on the green screen behind me. All right. So in this, all right, here we go. All right. In here you can see this. In the bottom drawer, there was some lingerie, which is called risque or bondage-ish or whatever, fetish stuff. A black leather harness, 2 silver sequenced star-shaped pasties, a black corset, a fishnet bodysuit, and something connected by a strap with a matching thong. Oh my God. Did they go nuts over this? All right. So they asked Hal about this. They're like, Hal, did you know about this stuff that she had locked up in the bottom drawer there? He goes, no, but she's dressed as a French maid before. So, but then everybody goes, but that's not French maid stuff. That's like bondage stuff, Does she have a little, does she have a whip in there too? No whip was in there, but an outfit like sort of that, Well, they go, oh my God. They discover in the autopsy, I guess it says in the autopsy, that she hasn't had sex with anyone. That's what the autopsy shows. Anyone when? I mean, anyone when? I mean, if there's no semen, no, somebody didn't leave semen in her like some rapist or her husband the day before. That doesn't mean you didn't have sex the day before. There's ways to have sex that don't necessarily show things. And hey, how many days ago are we talking? I mean, she couldn't have sex. You can tell from an autopsy whether she had sex last week, a week before that. I mean, what kind of crap is that? I mean, I couldn't understand. I'm like, what the hell are you even talking about? That to prove she didn't have sex. When? So I'm like, so they're claiming, oh, well, he didn't have sex with her. He didn't know anything about the fancy stuff. Well, in one of one of the crime scene photos I saw, she had a package from Fredericks of Hollywood. This is from Fredericks of Hollywood. The girl likes some like dressing up thingies. She worked in Vegas, for Christ's sakes. So she had a risque thing, maybe even bondagey looking thing in the bottom drawer. What does that mean? They're thinking, oh my God, if she wasn't having sex with Hal, which they don't know, she was having sex with somebody else, you see? My God, she, that must be what's happening. She's maybe, she's got this little relationship going and she shows up at some guy's house with a whip, she's into this kinky stuff. Well, first of all, we don't know that she didn't buy this for possibly doing some kind of thing like the French maid. We didn't know she didn't buy it to show her husband. Just because he didn't see it yet doesn't mean she didn't say, oh, I'm going to try this out on my husband one night because we're getting bored. She could have done that. Who knows why she bought that? It's not a big deal. Who knows that Hal didn't buy it for her and is lying? We don't know. Just because it's in the bottom one doesn't mean that he didn't buy it and say, honey, I want you to wear this for me. She's like, I'm not doing that, dude. Yeah. He goes, well, think about it. puts it away. I mean, they went nuts over this. And the reason they went nuts is to say that she was having a secret life. So one of the guys in one of these shows goes, everybody has a public life, a private life, and a secret life. No, we all don't have so many secret lives. A lot of people just have a public and private. So now they're trying to take Kay just because she might have a little fun in her spirit. And maybe she does like to have a little bit of interesting sex. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. And this proves nothing about having an affair. They could absolutely find no one she'd had an affair with. But they were going to pursue this because, why were they going to pursue this? Let me show you why. All right. So now they got this, we're going to follow the kinky sex routine, right? So now there's this picture. Oh my goodness. You see, there's this place. It's called Miraval. I think it's Miraval. She went there 2 weeks before her murder. She went from, maybe 3 weeks. She went to Arizona. Hal said, hey, I'm working on a lot of business crap. It's getting kind of whatever. Why don't you go take a vacation? So she goes away for 2 weeks. And then they make this freaking big deal over the 2 weeks that she went to there. Oh my God, why was she away from her husband for 2 whole weeks? Some women and men spend 6 months away from each other. They're still married. 2 weeks away is like what? Proves any dang thing? No, she went to a freaking spa. You know who spa was? Oprah sets up stuff at that spa. You know how expensive that spa is? Holy crap almighty. This is not a place I can afford. This is where you go to, let's see what you go there for. You go there for massages. You go there for, hanging out with other women, and talk. This is one of the ladies she hangs out with in Arizona, out in the spa. Look what this thing says. Please consider yourself giving the well-deserved gift of a transformative retreat at the magical Miraval Resort. You are worth it. Oh my goodness, you're getting rid of bitter resentments. And what are you, setting out on a journey of truth? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, all right. Elizabeth Gilbert, I liked her. But anyway, so there's so basically going there to deal with your pains, your emotional problems, because you're rich as shit, the rest of us just drink. But, if you have her money, you can spend, I don't know how much it costs a night, $5,000 a night or something ridiculous. And you get massages, you get to lay in the pool, and then you sit with the other women and you have, all kind of sessions and stuff. You have a lot of money. What the heck? You have the right to spend it and you have the right to enjoy it. And if it does work for you, it makes you happy. You get a sense of peace out of it and you get to do meditation and stuff and think about your life, Hey, bully for her if she wants to do that. But they made this big deal. Oh my God. And then there was this guy. There was a picture of her. Do I have that? I think a picture with her with her arm around this guy at the resort. And they make a big deal of that too. They're like, oh, look, she's got her arm around this guy. I'm like, the other woman says he's probably a massage therapist. And, they're just joking around and she happened to put her arm around him and they took a picture. And now, oh my God, was she having an affair with that guy? There's no absolute proof that there was any affair going on at all. Now, she wasn't known to, she had her moments in supposedly, and I don't know again the truth of this. Hal said she had an affair when they were in Fort Lauderdale. Is it true? Hal said he suspected she might be having an affair. He told that to her sister. Is it true? Or is Hal just trying to sort of toss an idea out there? I don't know. I don't know if she was having affairs. I don't know if he was having affairs. I don't know if they were happy as bluebirds. You know what I mean? I don't know. But what I do know is that this little 2-week vacation is not a biggie, guys. I can't believe they spent about 20 minutes in the documentary on that going, why did she take this 2-week trip? Because she's rich and can afford it. I wish I was. I'd go on that trip. Somebody want to pay, please send me money. So that was something that just really bizarre. Victim shaming women are supposed to be boring and not enjoy sex. Yeah. There are issues over sex when they have reasons to be looked at. Like if your sexual behavior puts you in danger, that's understandable. But some of these things are so minimal. It's like, what, you can't dress up in a hot outfit and you're like, And that's like, oh, okay. Yeah. So they overdo it. And if she had, there is a reason why they have to question if she had had an affair. If this was not a burglary gone wrong, then what's the next possibility, which would be like a stalker, an angry stalker. And now there's some reasons for this. I remember that from the show. I was like, where is my secret life? Come back to me. Yeah, I could use one. If you'd like to have a secret life with me, please contact me at my number. Okay. Seems like they're clutching at straws when they can't find a valid motive. Yes. And it's okay to say you don't have a motive, but it kind of to go off on these weird tangents, just kind of strange. But now let's get to the next thing that happened. 3 weeks after this crime happens, the police have said that they don't think Hal had anything to do with it. And I'll get to some other issues come up later with this. And then he hires this crack team. He offers $250,000, or it goes up to that, and as a reward. And he definitely looks like the sad husband. So I mean, I miss her, and he's just blown away by this whole thing. So anyway, he hires this team to help. It's only a few weeks in. He's already got a team of private detectives. Why isn't he depending on the police? I don't know. Maybe it's because he's rich as crap and thinks money will buy information, or is there another reason for that? And I'll get into that in a little bit. So the burglary thing looks crappy. So the next thing that happens is about 3 weeks after the crime. Hold on. When did that happen? Hold on a second. Let me find out when that happened. Oh, by the way, they found a piece of a latex glove supposedly in the house. And then they also say in the backyard. So I don't know where the truth is here either. And supposedly it wasn't one of their ones they used. And again, here you get who said that? Hal said that. So I don't know if it's true. And of course, let's say a person who wasn't part of the household would bring his own gloves. That makes sense. But then again, if you're going to kill somebody in your household, you would also get some gloves. Might not be what you already had. All right. I want to go with the other question, of course, is that did Hal hire somebody to kill her? So that'll come up later. All right. So let's go away with the fetish wear. That's kind of nonsensical. All right. Now, the letter. When did the letter come in? Okay. So there's this letter that is sent to the local newspaper. And the letter says, I'm going to read you the letter. I'll put it up in the background here. Okay. This is the letter. It was a letter that was cut out from magazine stuff. All right. And this, I'm just trying to figure out exactly when it came in, which I can't seem to find here. Hold on a second. I was trying to find out it was 3 weeks or 3 months after. Let me see. Years later. Okay. Question. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to figure out when the letter came in. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, before I go there. All right. 3 months after her death is a letter. Wait, before I go to the letter, I want to talk about this guy, because this is another thing that's bizarre in the case. So anyway, in the neighborhood, all right, after they talked to the neighbors, hey, did you see anything? Was there anything shady going on out there? So on and so forth, right? Well, wait a minute, I got the wrong one here. And somebody said they had seen in the neighborhood a suspicious character. All right. This is a neighborhood. It's very fancy. The day before her murder, some guy was wandering around with some paper saying, I'm looking for a house in the area. Like he's going to buy a house. And somebody talked to him. And then they saw him the day of the murder as well. That's what they say. They gave a description to the police. This was a description. Now, is this the guy that killed Kay? Now, the question would be here. If you're going to kill somebody, do you really want to walk around the neighborhood and let everybody see your face? Does that really work? And why wouldn't you know where she lives? I mean, if you're walking around, he didn't ask for Kay's house. He's just walking around the neighborhood saying he's going to look for a property to buy. And he's some open house thing. So, I mean, he's got no reason to talk to anybody. If he just wants to check out her house, he's going to know exactly where she lives, and he can drive by and see it and say, okay, there it is. So it makes no sense to me that anybody planning to kill anybody would be wandering around the neighborhood showing himself and his face to people before he does it. That makes zero sense to me. So, but this was a description. So then what happens is after the husband supposedly kicks off about 2 years after Kay dies, he dies of a heart attack. So he's not around. And the family supposedly finds this picture of this guy in her all her past photos from way back. So you can see she's with this guy. It looks like this is back like in the Vegas days, right? So she happened to be with this guy. And they're like, oh my God, that's the same guy. And I'm like, really? First of all, when a person gives a description to the police and has somebody draw it up, they're not necessarily good at it. People always think that people describe things perfectly. His eyes were bigger. His mouth was more like this. Sometimes they do a good job. Sometimes like nowhere near. I am the world's worst damn witness you will ever have in your life. I can't remember anybody. I can't remember their faces. I can't remember what even race they were. I'll say the person's black when they were white and they're white when they were black. I'll say they're tall when they're short. I'm a horrible witness. So if I gave a description to the police, maybe I would get something right. Okay, there's a white guy. He had like a long face and he had some like weird glasses on. I might be so off that I wouldn't get near to the description of the actual guy. And then therefore, so it looks like this guy. Well, first of all, I don't personally think it looks like this guy. But now that they found the photo, like, oh my God, that's him. Some guy from dozens of years ago is suddenly going to show up in the neighborhood, wander around, and then go kill Kay for no reason. Really? Okay. Just nonsense. And so this again these are like terrible red herrings. And I don't even, they don't make any sense to me. But then the letter comes 3 months after. Here's a letter. I'm going to read it to you because it's, and I'll say blank like they did on the other show that I looked at because it has a lot of bad language in it. And I think this is fascinating to me, this language. All right, of this letter. All right, where'd my letter go? All right. About Kay, there's another line up there, but it turns out she was just a money-grubbing whore. I loved her. She said we could be together. She told me that she hated her house, the rented house that she's living in. She hated her house and that fat, miserable, lying, MFing husband of hers. She said she loved me, but that was a lie. I told her this would happen if she didn't keep her promises to me. Her white trash family screwed up everything. Oh no, her blanking family screwed everything up. Those white trash, it's white trash, whatever. His money was more important than our love. We could have been so happy together, but they screwed everything up. All right, I'm just going to stop here and ask you, what does that letter sound like to you? So I'm going to let you be profilers here. What does that letter sound like to you? I like this. Lisa says, I agree with you, Michaela. They have no idea, so they're making something out of nothing. Okay. What does that letter sound like to you? So 3 months afterwards, this letter shows up. Now, mind you, they don't have any suspects at this point. What do you think about this letter? What does that letter seem like? One thing I want to point out is that they did ask the sister about the house issue, that how would they know she hated the house? Because was that general knowledge? And the sister said no. So whoever wrote this letter had to know that she hated the house. So this wasn't like a prank letter from complete stranger or somebody who was outside of her circle. Yeah. So this is, Michaela says, a jilted lover. Yes, it does sound like that. So that's one of the reasons they looked into this guy that they saw wandering around the neighborhood, and they going into her past to find a guy that matched that supposed composite. All right. Lisa N says, someone trying to throw the investigation in the wrong direction. This one says, rejected individual, coworker, old boyfriend. A look over there letter. All right. So those are, it was the postman. The postman cometh. Those were the two theories. It's either a jilted lover or something to throw you off. So let's look at that. The jilted lover problem. Here is the problem I have with the jilted lover. And I think somebody else, one of the shows mentioned it. I think it was a profiler who said that. I'm not sure, but I liked it. The problem is when people are stalkers and they're jilted, there is a history of those people. They send letter after letter after letter. They stalk, they send emails, they do things where in the beginning, why won't you be with me? I love you, and you said you love me. There would be a history of this crap somewhere. Unless there'd be a history somewhere. Now, sometimes stalkers pop out of nowhere and just kill you, but they don't have intimate details of your life. They'll just kill you because they just want to, I love that rich person, or I love that beautiful lady, and she never gave me the time of day, so I thought I'd kill her, and then I get to have had that last moment with her. But they don't need to send this letter detailing how you had this relationship and that she said all these things. That doesn't make sense. So this had to be somebody who knew her. But if it was a jilted lover, why is there no evidence of her catting around? Anybody seen her with anybody? There's no other letters. There's no emails. I'm sure they looked through all her stuff and came up with zero. So I'm going to go with look over their letter. Yes, somebody trying to misdirect the investigation. All right. A burglar does not misdirect the investigation. A stalker doesn't try to misdirect the investigation. So who the hell is trying to misdirect the investigation? So I'm going to go there next. But before I do, here's another thing that bugged the hell out of me. You see you cut these things out. When you cut these things out, you got to cut them out of some kind of thing. They look like magazines because these are not cut from newspapers. So it would be just, black and gray and white, black and white. They have lots of color in them. And I'm not saying this color is accurate because I've seen two different versions of the color. So I don't know if it's the stupid journalism thing. They're just doing different colors. But you have to cut it out of magazines. Like, take a look, for example. See this DI here? DI. Look over here. You see the DI? Well, it's not the same DI, mind you. But you see, in this particular version, it's a green background with white. In this magazine, it's green and with a green background with white. So what I would be doing as an investigator is I want to find out where the hell these magazines are that the person chopped it out of. Because people, when they're going to go do something, they usually, they could, if they're really smart, go down to the doctor's office and just take shit off the table. I'm going to carry these 5 out. They could go down to the thrift store and pick up magazines. A lot of times they'll simply pick up a magazine they have available, which will be interesting. Let's say, for example, a lot of this stuff came from a golf magazine like Golf Digest. Wouldn't you be looking for a golfer? Because I don't have Golf Digest laying around my house. So you want to see what magazine could it come from? Now, did they do this? I don't know. Did they try and couldn't come up with crap? Maybe. I don't know. But I want to know this. Did you check into what magazines this would come out of? And I didn't get any information on that. But I think it's interesting. Spa magazines. Interesting. Well, and it's an interesting point. What if she brought home spa magazines from the spa? And those were used to make this letter. I would like to know that. That's a very good possibility. Very interesting. How old were the cutout objects on the paper? No clue. No clue. Vogue or Cosmo? That could be too. So are they women's magazines? These have been cut out of. Are they men's magazines? Who would have access to these magazines? This is what you do in an investigation, whether you come up with anything or not. I was annoyed that I never heard anything about this issue in either show. I mean, if you're paying FBI agents, retired FBI agents, a crap load of money per hour, I would hope they went through every damn magazine in the neighborhood, finding out who had what magazine, what the husband looked at. Was he into golf? I mean, what did he have? Hunting magazines, golf magazines, business magazines? What did his wife have? Did she have these kind of magazines, Cosmo and stuff like that? Did she have food magazines? What matched these magazines? What kind of the colors, the font, and what about anybody else who's a suspect? I mean, it may lead nowhere, but I want to know. Somebody tell me, look at it at least. Massage person from the spa. It could be. All right. So now we got this letter. Now, if it's not a letter sent by a burglar, We can't come up with a stalker at this point that would, and so, but that's what it looks like. I was in love with you and you trashed me. Or is it somebody who's trying to misguide the investigation to look for a spurned lover when it isn't a spurned lover? So now I want to look at one more thing. This was another theory because this is interesting. All right. Now, how about Hal? Hal's a crook. I know they don't go much into how crooked he is, but the dude's a crook. And he is. He's a crook. Anyway, I'm going to put these people up. All right. That's Hal. That's Kay, and this is a woman by the name of Karen. Karen who? What the heck is Karen's name? Karen Scott. All right, Karen Scott. Karen Scott is his right-hand man in his organization. She was with him for a long time. She helped him, basically his number one assistant. All right, but they're supposedly all friends. Okay, she got remarried. Karen got remarried. Kay was a bridesmaid, gave her bridal shower and all that stuff. She claims, the friend claims, she says, okay, she says, I lost my best friend to a brutal attack. Yeah, I am Kay's best friend. Kay's best friend. Well, the sister says, oh, no, she wasn't. That's not how you act. She never acted like a best friend. People around the two of them said, oh, yeah, they hung out a lot together. She was always there when she was there. Some thought that she just glommed onto her. But, everybody has an opinion on what a best friend is. Some are just jealous, but maybe she was just a user. I don't know. But anyway, these three knew each other. Now, on the day of her murder, she was actually recovering from surgery and was at home. Hal and a coworker went over to her home and brought her breakfast. Okay, very close stuff. Now, what else was happening? Okay, here's what else is happening. Meanwhile, where is it? Hold on. Meanwhile, okay, now don't tell me I can't find that now. Oh, here it is. Meanwhile, just a few days later, they had scheduled Kay Wenal to be deposed in a lawsuit. He was being sued by 6 different companies. He was building shopping malls. And what he would do, he would pay tenants. He would pay tenants to go into the mall and set up shop and look like they're paying tenants. So that when he sold the shopping center to somebody else, they're like, oh, this shopping center is great. They already got 30 tenants. And they're all fake. So he's a crook. That's how he made some of his money. He turned these things over and he got fake people in there. And then people said, wait a minute, I bought this place because I thought the place was booming business. And I find out he's behind the tenants even being there. Kay, went out and got the tenants. So, Kay, did you know that your husband was a crook? Well, she was going to be deposed. So now we have this interesting issue. So now the investigators asked Karen Scott, what about him? Was he above board? And she goes, no, not exactly. He kind of, cooked the books and did these things. In other words, he's shady as hell. And she knew it. So here we go. Everything's not as innocent as it seems. So now the next theory is she was killed because she was going to be deposed and talk about his naughtiness. And his other business partners didn't want her to speak up, so they killed her. Very unlikely. Very unlikely. Even he says, even the mafia doesn't do that crap. Kill your wife just because, she's gonna, she's got some information on the business. And also, Karen, I don't know why she wasn't being deposed because she obviously knew he was a crook. So I don't know, but she did die before she got to, Kay did die before that happened. Now, okay, so now we have this issue. Did somebody not want her to testify? And if somebody didn't want her to testify, who is the most likely person who didn't want her to testify? Hal. Who's the second most likely person? Karen, along with the fact that Karen basically said, well, she did die. I sort of step into her place in the business, So I didn't have anything to do with that. It's just just what would happen, you know. So was she very, very ambitious and wanted. Now, the other possibility is, who says those two aren't having an affair? You know, she works side by side with them. Is there something going on between the two of them? Don't know. So one of the thoughts is the two of them were in on it together to get rid of her, because she would mess up the business by speaking up, and by getting rid of her, they could maybe, you know, she would get more in the business. Maybe they had an affair. They would get together after that. I don't know. So there was a theory on that, that maybe they hired a hitman to get rid of her. Okay. Interesting thought. Gets a little closer to than a spurned lover. And then the letter makes more sense, because the letter is trying to say, hey, it's a spurned lover. And that way, don't look at the motive for this crime. He was very upset about anybody thinking the motive might have anything to do with his business. Now, the police thought, well, the reason he's upset about that is he doesn't want to believe that his business caused his beloved wife's death. Reasonable, because nobody wants to think, oh my God, my shady crap got my wife killed. So maybe that's true. Maybe that's the only thing Hal couldn't deal with, is I don't want to think I caused my wife's death. She is innocent in all this. I was the scumbag crook, and she's getting killed off of it. Maybe he loved his wife very, very much, and he thought he might have gotten her killed. Maybe. But then you wonder about this other possibility. At least I do. When is the most likely time somebody gets killed? It's when they try to leave. Now, the claim is they were happy little lovebirds together. So super, super happy. Were they truly? Maybe she went away for that retreat. Now, he says he sent her away to the retreat. Did he really? Maybe she wanted to get the hell away from him. Maybe she knew he was in all this crooked business. She was going to have to go public with it. Maybe he was going broke, by the way. He was supposedly losing his money. He had real money issues at this point. So maybe their marriage was in trouble. Maybe she was ready to leave him. Maybe she was done. She's already been through 3. Maybe she's like, okay, I'm 60. I'm still young enough. I don't want to put up with you. Maybe he's abusive behind the scenes. Maybe he's controlling. Maybe she's like, I've had it. You made me go out and get crooked tenants. You know, I knew what you were doing, but you made me go get these tenants. I mean, not crooked tenants. You made me go get these tenants and bring them in so you could pay them off. You involved me in a crooked business. I didn't like it. You forced me into it. I don't like what you're doing. I wanted you to retire. You won't retire. I'm just done with this whole damn thing. Maybe she was ready to leave him. Maybe she even wrote up papers. Maybe those papers were in that file cabinet. Maybe the reason somebody went to that file cabinet was to open that bottom drawer and pull out some paperwork and take it with them. Maybe that person doesn't want to be looked at. Now, I want to reread that letter. Listen to this letter again. If it were Hal. It turns out she was just a money-grubbing whore. Well, she'd been through a lot of men, and she went for the man with the biggest amount of money. Did he then think she was just leaving him because he wasn't going to have enough money anymore? It was going downhill with the cash. Was she thinking that was the whole thing? She was really only interested in all these years because he was so damn rich, and now she's just a money-grubbing whore. She's going to go find some richer man because he's losing all his money. I loved her, which maybe he did. She said we could be together. Well, she said we could be together because you love me. She told me that she hated her house. Well, she did hate the house, and she told him she hated the house. So, you know, it's interesting to me. Somebody puts that in a thing. She told me she hated the house. It almost sounds like Hal is talking in this letter. And this part, the miserable lying MF or husband of her husband, it almost sounds like maybe she said that to him. Because you know when you get in a big argument, I hate this house, I hate you, I hate you husband. Maybe he heard that out of her mouth, and that's what infuriated him. She said that she loved me, but that was a lie. Maybe he finally realizes maybe she just always loved me because of my money. If I didn't have this money, she doesn't love me. She loves the lifestyle, which is not unusual. She loved the lifestyle, the jewels, the trips, all this stuff. And now that I'm not going to have as much, she doesn't love me anymore. So it was all a lie. I told her what would happen if she didn't keep her promise to me. What was the promise? I'll stay married to you for life. I always told her, if you ever leave me, you're never going to leave me. If you break your promise to me, this is going to happen to you. Her whatever family screwed everything up. But I don't know. Maybe her family put ideas in her head. I don't know. A white trash. I don't know what she came from, but she didn't have money like he did. We could have been so happy together, but they screwed it up. I don't know. Her friends, her family, they screwed it up. We could have continued to be happy, but she screwed it up. That's what that letter tells me. I think of all the people that could have written a letter, it's most likely Hal. And now, some profiler in one of these shows said that the fact that the letter was chopped out words is more indicative of a female writing it. The females are more likely to do this, but I don't know that I buy that. So some of the theory is that, okay, she wrote the letter. He got somebody to kill her and she wrote the letter. But I still don't see the massive emotion and I don't see the reason to do all that. It sounds more like to me, she was leaving him. Now, I don't have any proof of this because I don't have any information from the stupid shows. I don't. I don't have any real idea on the time of death. I don't really understand his alibi. Could he have actually, in between leaving the office and going to Taco Bell or whatever, could he have gone in and killed her and then gone on and, pretended he wasn't ever there? Did he just put his key in the door, come in the house? She came up to him and said, I am leaving you. And he punched her. And then she ran from him and he grabbed a knife from the kitchen and killed her. I don't know. And then he went upstairs to get that information that she had put away and dropped the towel there. I don't know. Did he plan to kill her? I'm going to come home and kill her. She said she's going to leave me. She said she was reading a book. So maybe that has nothing to do with anything. Maybe she was totally relaxed and some other guy came in. I don't know. But the letter bothers me more than anything else because the letter to me sounds like him talking because it sounds exactly what you say in an argument. The kind of things people yell at each other in an argument when somebody doesn't want to be with you anymore. And everything matches him thinking his wife doesn't love him anymore and she only ever loved him for the money. But I don't have any proof of anything because I can't get proper evidence. But I can't come up with any reason for nobody's going to kill her just because she's going to give a statement other than Hal. I mean, none of the business partners are going to kill her. There's no proof of any spurned lover. So who would kill her? Usually it's domestic. So I can't get away from that because I just don't have anything else to go with. But that letter bugs me. And the person that sent the letter sounds like they are trying to misdirect. And why would you want to misdirect to a lover? And he, by the way, quite often said to the sister, I'm worried, I think she was having an affair. She could have done this. So he kept hinting at that possibility. Is that if he wants people to believe that's a spurned lover, he wants them to look that direction. He doesn't want them to look at his business. He doesn't want them to look at his financial situation, his relationship with his wife. I don't know. But I can't get past that letter. That letter to me does not sound like a woman talking or writing this letter. It sounds like a man who's angry at her, but it doesn't sound like a spurned lover. It sounds like Hal. So what are your thoughts on this? Because it's just a strange case, but again, the evidence, the facts that we have through the shows is crap. And so one of these things I always tell people is you can't get too high on one's horse when one doesn't even know exactly if the evidence is any good. Because, if I went in and worked on this crime, it's still unsolved, by the way. So for all the so in other words, the woman's killed in, what was it, 2008? And for 2 years while Hal is still alive and he's hired this crack team, they come up with zero as far as I know. And then Paul Holes comes in to do this documentary and claims he's going to solve it. He didn't solve it. The police still haven't solved it. Why not? So if I went in there to work on this case and, hey, I would do that because I got a friend in Georgia right now and this place is near my friend in Georgia. So I could go see my friend and I would do this pro bono. And so, hey, this particular case, I would come down and do that pro bono because I really want to know, what do you have that proves Hal has really, truly an alibi? And I want to see what other information is really there because I can't come up with any reason why anybody wants to kill Kay other than some domestic thing. And also the guy going straight up to the back room where the file cabinet is doesn't lead me to believe that it's somebody who knows the house and knows what he's trying to get in that back room. There's got to be a reason to go back there. Otherwise, it wouldn't have done it. And that letter sounds like Hal. So what's your thoughts? So anyway. Oh, maybe she was worth more dead than alive. Hold on a second. Okay. Let me see. There was something about, I didn't look at the insurance thing. So good point. Okay. Let's see if there was something about insurance here. Okay. Insurance. All right. To make matters worse. Okay. Oh, that wasn't. I thought this was about the insurance, but I don't see it here. Again, nobody mentioned insurance at all in the show. Why not? That's an important point. How much money did Hal have on her? He was in, let me see where there's a thing here about his money situation. Let me find it for you. And then you can see where some of the problem lies. Okay, so let's see where it is. Okay. His only child, Sherry Wenal of Boca Raton, Florida, succeeded in having Hal's long-term attorney removed from his estate last year. The state's new administrator told police that the $250,000 reward is no longer in play. That's interesting. Nobody would return calls and answer anything. Let's see. After pending lawsuits are settled, 90% of Hal's estate will go to his daughter, and the remainder to Kay's only child. Kay kid only gets 10%. A son who lives in Oregon, according to Hal's will. Okay. Court records indicate Hal was indebted to banks far more than his estate was worth. One Florida investor alleges Hal improperly used more than $3 million from limited liability companies he participated in with Hal to buy land in Lawrenceville, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida. I think Hal, did I say Georgia? What's this, Lawrenceville, Tennessee? Not Georgia? Oops. Crap. Where was she killed? No, I don't know why I thought this was Georgia. Oops. I'll have to look that up. Okay. No, it says Atlanta here. Okay. So was there another? I'm confused here. What the heck? Oh, it is Lawrenceville, Georgia. It's just bad journalism. Okay. He improperly used more than $3 million from limited liability companies he participated in with Hal to buy land in Lawrenceville, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Florida. Okay. I suddenly am like, was she killed in Tennessee? I think Hal was failing. I think he was tired, said Timmons, whose company Hal still owes a substantial amount for investigative services. Oh yeah, Timmons is in the Holes thing. Apparently or is it? I think it's the Holes one. It's one of the guys he hired. Apparently, never paid off. I think he's getting mixed. So he still owed money. I don't see anything about insurance on her, which is kind of weird. Where the heck is the insurance issue? I do not see it anyplace. And it was mentioned nowhere. Yeah. You would think he'd have insurance on her, wouldn't you? I do not disagree, sour crime. Michaela says, in the absence of a suspect, go with the stats. The hubby did it, and his money meant he got away with it. Possibly. And, I don't know how much she was part of an alibi, because if he was pissed that she was leaving and she's always been her confidant, she might have thought, well, I'm going to still support. So I'm going to support him. Maybe she's even willing to lie for him, because I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did, Karen, don't sue me. But it's saying this could be a situation where, hey, he's important to me. I want to keep my job. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get basically her job. I'm going to be in better shape. Maybe I even like this guy. I don't know. She might be madly in love with her own husband. Who knows? But see, we don't know any of this stuff. So, but some people sometimes lie for other people for their own benefit, even if they're suspicious. So maybe she wasn't in on it with him, as some people think. Maybe she just helped him a wee bit. Again, don't know, because I don't have access to the files. Wish I did. Really wish I did. Maybe a woman lover. Oh, that's possible. You mean for Kay? Maybe. I mean, maybe the two of them. Maybe these two. I don't know. Say so much information is just not really good. Hal was gay and she was going to out him. That could be, but from what I see of his history, I don't think so. I think he really loved the ladies. He really did. And I'm not sure that he didn't love her in his own way. Here's my problem with people. If you're a crook, you get a level of personality disorder, in my opinion. To be a liar, to be cheating people, even big companies. He didn't say he's been in business a long time. He said he's been in the game a long time. So he's a player in that field. And he's not necessarily honest. If he can make a buck, he's going to make a buck. So it takes a certain personality to be that way. So it didn't mean that he didn't like her as a trophy wife. He probably enjoyed the hell out of her. She was very, very pretty. He got her. Maybe she was exciting and bubbly. He liked everything about her, but maybe she also liked the fact he was rich as crap. A multi-millionaire. She's got everything, and it's a life that you can really enjoy. And if they've been together 20 years and she's getting tired of him, she's getting fed up with him. He's working all the time and his money's not coming in. Now he's getting caught in all this fraud. She may have just been ready to leave. And I would think if she left, he'd have to pay her some alimony. She'd get some money off of that estate, and maybe didn't want to pay that money off of that estate. People get killed for that all the time. Let's see. Molly says, it seems like he was a way better investment con man than a true developer who possibly had no problem transitioning to murderer to solve legal problems. Perhaps not. Yeah. The murder and the letter seem entirely different. Yes, this was pointed out in the show by a number of people. So Paul Hole said that the murder itself seemed clinical, but the letter seems angry. So this would be two different people. Do I agree with that? Not necessarily. It's a businessman. I think you can be business at one place and personal in another. And I think if he made a decision, he made a decision. And then if he decided if he actually did do her in, so part of the clinical part, think of the clinical part. He came into the house and he takes his bag and he doesn't drop it when he sees her. He doesn't freak out. He carefully puts it on the island. Maybe he was very able to be clinical when he needs to be. And when he went to write the letter, he clinically actually got all those pieces. But in his mind, he's still angry about the reason for things. So does he have to stab her 50 times? If he's saying you're not going to leave me, does he have to stab her 50 times for it to match his feelings? Or is punching her and knocking her down to the ground, taking a knife and saying, it's over, enough for him? So I think this is the kind of stuff that is crap profiling, in my opinion. It isn't necessarily two different people. I don't believe that's true. And when you think about it, why would there be two different people? Because somebody who wrote that letter actually knew something that was going on. To me, it's too real. And it sounds like that conversation. I mean, that's the conversation people have when they're having a fight. It sounds very real. And, just because you were able to be clinical in one moment doesn't mean you're not stewing someplace else. I don't think it has to be two different ones. And I disagree. No. In the profession of profiling and investigations, many of us have differing opinions. They're not necessarily wrong, and I'm not necessarily right, or vice versa. We just have differing opinions. There's no absolutes on a lot of things. And if you look at enough cases, you might be true for 4 cases, and the 5th case is completely not true at all, which is why the 5th case is harder to solve, because you were depending on those other 4 cases to tell you how things work, and it didn't work in the 5th case. So that can happen. Let's see. Let me see what Christine has to say. Sounds like he was a multimillionaire on paper and not so much with physical cash based on his crooked stuff. No, I think he was a multimillionaire for a really long time, that he was building things up, but he started to get in business troubles over time. Whether the world of business had changed or whether people are catching up with his game, don't know. Because over time, people, things do change, and so you have to change with them, or you get more crooked. That could be it. Wonder if there was abuse in his first marriage. Good question. We have 3 husbands of Kay's, which we don't know anything about. We don't know what happened in those marriages. Did Kay pick men that were terrible to be married to? Or was Kay someone who just, when she was with them, said, hey, you're not going anywhere. I've had enough with you. I found a better guy. And maybe she was a social climber. On the other hand, it could be the other way around. For him, why did his first marriage fail? Was it because he was a controlling, abusive person? Or did he dump his wife because he found her? I don't know quite the sequence there. The timing, I don't know whether he was married at the time that he messed with her. I'm not quite sure about that. Then again, maybe his first wife is a pain in the butt. And if you ask any married couple, you're going to get 2 sides of that story. Definitely 2 sides of that story. Michaela says, maybe the reason it hasn't been solved is there's no clear standout suspect. I don't know. It's possible. But it's also possible they looked the wrong direction. It's possible that they got the time of death wrong. It's possible this and it's possible that. And this is the problem when we're outside of a case and cannot see the actual information. Just can't see it. And therefore, one piece of information could change the whole picture. And so I always tell people that, because that's what happens to me on cases. I'm like outside going, and then I go in and go, oh, crap. If I'd known that, I would have had a different opinion. Oh, Molly, I think 2008 was the year real estate crashed huge. Really? Huh. Interesting. I don't have any real estate at this point in my life. I did have one house at one point, but I don't own any at the moment. So I'm not a big real estate person, so I don't know if that's true, but that would be an interesting point. Because that, your whole business can go under in a heartbeat. When you're managing things that are that big, you're also managing such large accounts and such large projects that a project going down could do you in. Now, he also mentioned something that's true, and I'll give Hal credit on that. He says, people say, well, you got 6 lawsuits. And he goes, if you're in business long enough, everybody sues you. He is correct about that. So sometimes we say, oh, that person's a crook because there are people suing. But that's the way a lot of business works. So but the only problem I have with so I believe it's true. He could have been sued for things he wasn't a crook about. But she did confirm that he was a crook. So, so in that case, I think he is not always above board, shall we say. You need to spend $1,000 for a freedom of information request. No, that is an open case. There's no freedom of information that should open. No, the people on the outside shouldn't necessarily be looking at this case. If the police wanted me to look at it as a second opinion, I'd be thrilled to do so, because I think it's a curious case. And I have a friend in Georgia, so I want to go visit anyway. So I wouldn't mind jumping over to another jurisdiction to look at this case. But no, this is not a closed case. The case that I put $900 out on, the one in South Carolina, I worked that case, and the case was closed. So I had the right to get the FOIA request, and they told me I got their FOIA request, and then they just stiffed me on all the information, and I lost $900, and I couldn't fight it. So there you go. Anne says, have you seen a case where the husband hired a detective to look into the case that he was a killer? Yeah, that does happen. I'll tell you why it happens. I would tell Hal. I would tell Hal, I'll look into your case, but you are on the suspect list, and I will look into you just as well as other people. And if I find you guilty, I will tell that straight to the police. However, a good portion of PIs, and I'm not saying these PIs, okay, they're getting paid a lot of money they get paid huge amounts of money. Some of these, just like a defense attorney. Defense attorneys defend guilty people all the time. They have no problem because they're making a boatload of money, and they're like, they do what they have to do. Then they get investigators to go to dig up stuff for the trial that isn't necessarily legitimate either. They don't care, and the investigator doesn't care because they're all getting paid. So if you got a person who hires you for a substantial amount of money, and the police have said, okay, we don't think it's him. You say, look, I want to find out what happened to my wife, and then you steer them in a particular direction. I don't know how much control he had over the investigation. I don't know how much he paid them. I don't know what they're willing to do if they're paid a lot of money. To just look in one direction, perhaps. Okay, I want you to look for somebody. I want you to look for a spurned lover. That's the job. I don't know what the job was when he hired him. So if he says, I want you to just look for a spurned lover, that's what they're going to go do, aren't they? Because they're getting paid a lot of money. So I'm always a little... Yeah, so sometimes, yes, they do that because they know they can control that and makes them look good. Putting out a reward, by the way, same thing. If nobody's going to collect a reward, if there's not somebody else out there to, if you can give a tip into the spurned lover, I'll give you that $250,000. Well, there's no spurned lover, so you're never going to have to pay the reward. So no biggie. That's why I should have gone for $500,000. But Kayla says, don't mention that guy. It was a GAB. Yeah. My biggest example of a very unethical attorney, in my opinion, and doesn't seem to have much conscience about anything. So, yeah. So there's always those guys around to hire, I know that in certain cases that people haven't wanted to hire me because they know I'll be honest. I'm just going to look and say find out what I see, and then I'll go straight with it. And they may not like that I'm willing to do that. They want me to look at this, and I'm like, oh, I'll look at everything. How about that? It doesn't go over well. So yeah, so really fascinating case, and that it just sits there. And the Hal's dead now. So and the sister still wants to know who killed her sister. She wishes she'd know. And she's not getting anywhere with it because there's really, I don't know what the police are doing at this point. I don't know. I don't know if they really had 100% of an alibi on this guy and they just couldn't come up with anything else. Maybe they just can't figure it out. Some things are hard to figure out. On the other hand, there could be parts of this case that were misunderstood, or somebody gave information that wasn't quite right, or the time of death thing was off just enough, or somebody lied for somebody. There's all kinds of reasons that maybe he did do it and it was not handled properly, or not even necessarily mishandled, but just the case didn't catch that, but I don't know because I'm not on the inside. No, he did not lawyer up. This was something that made them think he's innocent. He went in to talk to the police without anybody, without an attorney. But here's something we have to understand. He is a multi-millionaire, very astute businessman and somewhat criminal fellow. He's been around the block. I don't think he lacks ability to do stuff. So there's people that should never go in and not lawyer up. But sometimes it can benefit you, even if you're guilty. I mean, because you can manipulate. And depending on the police department, the detective you've got, sometimes you can manipulate them really well. And I mean, I've worked in the police departments to know that I've had detectives who could catch on to things really quickly, and other detectives right over their head. Well, he seemed like a nice guy. I'm like, the guy killed her. Not this guy. But, I'm like, how did you not see that the guy was the killer? Well, I don't know. He seemed like a nice guy. I thought it was this happened. They're completely just wrong about it. And, so if you have a very high opinion of yourself, you think you can manage people. Remember, if he's managing multi-million-dollar, these huge deals, and he's been defrauding people and doing all these games on them, maybe he thinks he can get away with stuff, because he has gotten away with stuff for a long time until recently when apparently got caught on this one thing. Now remember, when she died, he was 72, I believe. He's been in business for over half a century. I'm going to guarantee if he's a multimillionaire who's slightly crooked or very crooked, he's been doing he's been in the game for half a century. That man has talent. That man has skill. I would not put it past him to be able to pull the wool over a detective, to be willing to go without an attorney, to be willing to hire actual PIs to search for his wife's killer. I would not put it past him because he's not stupid, and he's a clever fellow. And who knows, he might be a great actor. I just don't know. I don't know. Not at all. Daryl Brooks, on the other hand, has zero ability to do anything. We're talking about polar opposites here. Daryl Brooks, an idiot, a total idiot. But then again, let me say this: Daryl Brooks knew he was not going to get off for the murder of those 6 people he ran over in the parade. He knew he wasn't going to win, so he played the second best game, was to manipulate and abuse everyone, the judge, the jury, the victims, the general public. He played a game for an entire month. He's going to get a Netflix show made about him. He absolutely won that round because he already knew he was going down. So maybe he's not stupid. Maybe he was just playing his next best game. It's a psychopath. Oh, Lord. But no, I think this guy would be slicker. So that's my thoughts on this case. It's I'm going to say a very interesting one that had just so much missing from it. But I think I'm bothered most. If I look at what I'm bothered most by, it's the guy going upstairs into that closet and to that file cabinet like he knows it's there and there's some reason to do it. And there's nothing that says somebody didn't open that file cabinet and take out whatever they needed to take out. And the second thing would be that letter, which to me had to come from the killer. It didn't come from somebody who wasn't involved. And the hitman isn't going to send that. So that's not going to happen. Molly says he made believers out of many investors, probably some as iffy as him. Well, that's true too. Yeah. Sarah Crime says, I had a dear friend who was a detective. She's a doll, but clueless as far as reading people. Whether we're doctors, investigators, teachers, whatever we are, profilers, not everyone is the best. That's why some doctors misdiagnose. Some teachers are so boring they put the class to sleep. That's why some lawyers can't get you off. That's why some profilers are completely wrong on something. So we're not all as talented as the next person. And also, even if we are talented, we're not always right. I'd like to think I was 100% correct every time I analyzed anything. But, for whatever reasons, I can look at a case and I could get it wrong. I could just, maybe my own background, maybe something I didn't understand went over my head and I just didn't get it right. That doesn't mean I'm a complete waste of space on every crime. It just means I didn't get that one right. And I would say that not every detective gets every case right. Not every profiler gets every case right. And that's why sometimes a team is useful and that's why I believe profiling should be a part of a team. So you get together like to figure it out, and then maybe you balance each other out and you know which directions to look for more clues. And then when you get enough clues, then you get the proof. And then you can say, wow, you were right about that. Or, hey, I got that one right. Or I got 80% right, but you gave me that 20% that made the difference. Or vice versa. So a team is a nice thing. It really is. But this is just one more lesson. Again, when you're watching these shows, a lot of times we're getting such edited stuff. I don't know why they edited and didn't so badly, and why they didn't give us some of the most basic information which is left out of the show, both of them. And I'm like, if I were doing the show, I'd make sure that information was in there, but it just wasn't. So no. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. I'm going to probably, if you're here on the 30th, there is going to be a press conference It's only the people in the chat room that are going to be here for this information here. It says there's the Delphi murders. There's going to be a press conference at 10 a.m. Eastern time on the guy they have arrested in connection with the murders. They have an extraordinarily high bond, and there are 3 agencies coming to talk at the press conference. So it would be my reasonable assumption that the guy they have arrested is being charged with the murders of the 2 girls and not some misdemeanor. So we're looking forward to finding out the exact information on that tomorrow, what they have to say. And after the press conference is over, I will do a short video on what I learned from the press conference and what I think it means, and how this all wraps up. Or if it's something, or if we're surprised from the press conference and we learned something different than we expected. If you haven't seen my other video, I just did a video yesterday, day before, on the Delphi arrest, and that's you can see that in my videos. It's a short video, it's 10-minute video, and so I'll do a follow-up video tomorrow after the press conference. So anyway, that's going to be it. If you're new here, still here. At least subscribe to the channel. That helps. But if you'd like to be in the chat room with all these really fun people and exchange, please do join Patreon, the link below. And it does really help support the channel. And this channel needs supporting. Well, thank you for being here, Anne. I'm glad you found it interesting. I'm Michaela. And thank you for saying it's an excellent show. That's always good. A great show. And clear now. Apparently, you can actually hear and see me after the first. We had to redo the beginning of the show because it was technical difficulties. You're most welcome and most welcome. And Lisa S shows up. Hi, Lisa. We're finished. Okay, you're going to have to watch the repeat. Christine says, thanks, Pat. Looking forward to your updates. Yeah, there'll be one tomorrow. Oh, Lisa, if you snuck in there someplace. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, you did get in here earlier. Okay. I know, not everybody can be here at the beginning of a show or here at all. So it's just hit or miss sometimes what the time frame is. And today I had to move from 3 p.m. I was going to do 5 p.m. and then I had to move it to 7 p.m. So one of those things. So anyway, you're most welcome. So I'm glad you think I'm humorous. I try to be at least. I like to have at least a fun time while we discuss absolutely horrible things. So I will see you next time. There'll be a hangout this week, of course. And I'm working on the next call-in. So if you have an idea for the next call-in and anybody wants to call in with an idea, let me know, because I think it's about time for one of those. I think it will be fun. So I enjoy doing the call-in. So come up with an idea on that. Let me know. I will see. Some of you will see the video, the thing on Delphi tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you at the hangout, in the midweek hangout. So see you then. Bye.